Hi everyone, this is Ing, and I'm about to put my friend Ellen O on for today's Praise You, the daily chats that I've been having with people from the art world and the creative world. And hi, how are you, Kate? Today I'm in a different space because my husband is using my normal space. Hey, Ellen, I'm going to put you on in a minute. We're going to let more people trickle in. And first, I will just wish everyone a good Monday morning. It's really rainy and gray here in Boston. It's going to be like that all week. So just trying to, keep the spirits up. I think this is going to be a hard week, to be honest, for a lot of people, especially those of us on the East Coast where it's just gray. Like, we're not going to really see sun. The kids aren't going to be able to go outside very much. The dog is staying inside all day, pretty much. So it's a little bit hard. But, that's why these chats have been helpful for me, because they give me motivation and they give me a chance to connect with my old friends and people that I think are doing really great things. And so I'll put you on, Ellen. Let me just pin this so that I can tell people what you are doing. On. Hopefully everyone can hear me, so give me a thumbs up if you could. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, can you guys hear Ellen okay? Ellen, say, I'm Ellen O.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ellen O.
Nice. I'm going to turn my volume up, perhaps. Hold on a second. How's it going out there?
Oh, just waking up. It's a little less foggy today, so that's good.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So Ellen is out in the Bay Area, and I was just saying before you came on that it's just like a gray, dreary week, which makes it super hard to feel motivated. Hey, Mac. Yeah. But so you and I go back to our days at grad school out in Columbia, And but then pretty much right after that, you went back to the West Coast, where you have always felt that you belonged and you loved so much.
Yes, I need the ocean.
And so now you are at Stanford. And can you tell us briefly about your role at Stanford University?
Sure. So I started at Stanford 8 years ago. Started out in the Institute for Diversity in the Arts, where I was for 4 years. And then I moved over to Stanford Arts. We've changed our name multiple times. Now we're the Office of the Vice President for the Arts. But we essentially serve as an umbrella for all the arts at Stanford. I kind of describe our role as being the glue that seeps into all the cracks and holds everyone together. So the umbrella, it includes the presenting organizations, the two museums, Stanford Live and the Institute for Diversity in the Arts and Stanford Arts Institute, which are kind of hybrid academic/student service organizations. But we also work with all the art departments, res ed, career services. We try to get the arts into technology and sciences and other humanities and do a little bit of everything, which is fun.
Yeah, I've always loved hearing about your work at Stanford because you are you have your fingertips on what's happening, but you also have a sense of what the future is, right? Because the students at the school and what they're working on. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but here's my cup of tea to you. I'm sure you're having a strong cup of coffee or something since it's 10 a.m. your time.
Early here.
Man. Well, how are your days now? Do you have to wake up as you normally used to, or are you taking it slow?
Yeah. I am sleeping better than I have in 10 years. I kind of love that I roll out of bed at 8. I don't have to commute, which is incredible.
How long was your commute before?
Like an hour and 15 each way.
Wow.
And, on the way, I drop off the kids. And so now I just drop them off in their rooms, turn on computers, and we're done. So,
you don't have to monitor them? Because for my little one, it's like, I don't know, he can do it, but he's not really Yeah.
No, one of us, Courtney, usually has been sitting in there, handing her the worksheets that she needs to do.
Yeah, we kind of need to. The homeschooling thing is really hard, and yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But so, how has COVID-19 affected you guys out in the Bay Area? When did you go into shutdown or lockdown or self-isolation?
Let's see. It was like March 9th because we were supposed to have, well, I had been working for 6 months to set up this convening of arts leaders and technologists and philanthropists from around the country were supposed to come to Stanford, and we were going to discuss arts incubators. And we made the call on Friday, and the convening was supposed to happen on Monday. We called it off on Friday, and we set up a Zoom meeting instead. So I went into the office for that Zoom meeting, and then I went home, and I've been home ever since.
Wow. And when did the campus shut down?
The campus shut down. There were, I think it was that week, the second week of March, they were like, try to work from home if you can. Mm-hmm. And then by the following week, they're just like, everybody work from home.
Yeah. So, and then the students were sent home in mid-March?
The students were sent home, like that following week. They started to, get flights for everyone, and everybody was off campus because spring break was that last week of March anyway. So they just said, go to spring break and don't come back.
Yeah.
But, wasn't
and what was that like for you? Yeah, I mean, as someone who, you're not a professor, but you're someone who works very closely with the student body. What was that like in terms of mentoring them and taking care of them?
It was really hard. Just trying to figure out where they were at, how much they wanted us to reach out, how much they needed, what kind of programs and things we could do this quarter to support them, but not overwhelm them. I feel like the students were just silent for a long time, and our quarter started a week later than usual, just to give people a little bit more time to settle in and professors more time to figure out going online. We have 2 student liaison interns in our office, and they've been spectacular. They just did a presentation on Zoom for our whole staff yesterday, and are just, helping us get a feel for what students are interested in.
Right. And so did you, were you involved in planning out what the rest of the semester was going to look like for Stanford Arts programming, or is it just more like reacting to what you had been doing and trying to implement that for the Zoom age? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you creating new things, or are you adapting from old things?
So both. I had been planning another huge 2-day convening in April around AI and art with Sundance, which we ended up having
to post.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, hi, Julie.
So we ended up postponing that to next year. And then we had another big event planned with Thelma Golden and Njideka Akinyele-Crosby, which I was so excited about. But that got postponed till next year. So I had nothing on my plate necessarily. Yeah. But we didn't want to just go silent. Right. So I've been working, some of the staff on my team is working on more student engagement. We had to get a bunch of stuff together for the admitted freshmen to show them the arts on campus, and fresh admit weekend had to go virtual, so that was a huge change. We had to get a bunch of materials. I've been helping just spread the word about the museums, virtual experiences, Stanford Live. They started a video series, The Show Must Go Online. And we're doing some student workshops. And then I threw together a virtual series that starts next week with 5 arts alumni who are just doing Zoom artist talks with Q&As. So that should be fun. We'll see what kind of response there is.
So, I mean, what are the expectations for a program director like you now in the age of Zoom and everyone being so far apart? higher ed is different from what our kids or our little ones are dealing with, which is that, for my kids, they're expected to do it, but the teachers understand it's voluntary. It's hard on the families. It's a very difficult, trying time. What are the expectations of the university for the students right now?
I think, well, the classes all last quarter, they didn't have finals. I think finals were then became optional, and all the classes became pass fail.
Oh wow!
So the same is happening with my kids. I mean, I think that they're not doing standardized testing, and
yeah. Wow.
So I think the expectations are lifting a little bit. Some students, I think, are taking fewer classes and hoping to make up for it, or thinking about extending, their undergrad tenure. So so much of it we don't know. I mean, we don't know when we'll be back. We don't even know if we'll be back in the fall. It's a whole new world.
Yeah. So what have you found to be the most fulfilling and also the most challenging right now in your job?
That's a good question. I guess both would be the biggest thing that I'm working on right now is trying to develop an arts incubator. And we've been, conceiving of this thing for a while. And it's what's driving me, I think we have a huge opportunity, and it's going to be incredibly challenging, and it keeps changing. But I feel like we have a huge opportunity right now with all of the systems breaking down, with everyone thinking like something has to change, something has to give, and realizing how many of our systems are broken.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the artists who we're all looking to right now, who are leading us, and we're all reading books, we're all watching movies, we're all watching artists pop up on our Instagram feeds and whatnot. And I feel like artists are the ones who can really imagine a new future and a more beautiful future. And and they're not getting compensated for it. They're not getting recognized for this work that they do. So I want this incubator to really be able to support artists directly.
Can you elaborate? For those who are just joining, this is Ellen O from Stanford Arts, the program director. Can you elaborate at all, even if you haven't launched it, but can you tell people a little bit more about the incubator and the idea behind it?
Yeah, well, we're still trying to figure out the exact structure of it. And of course, that's changing if you're thinking about virtual spaces. But, essentially, we want to bring artists to campus. I see it in some ways as an umbrella to a number of visiting artists and artist residency programs that we have. But it's developing more of a cohort and really placing artists in conversations and collaborations with scientists and technologists and scholars and researchers who are on the forefront of major issues, and really trying to think in new ways and inserting the artist's voice in those conversations and helping them really, centering them and helping them take a lead in changing the world to make it better and more equitable and just. So, what specifically that looks like is a little bit TBD. But trying to find a way to use Stanford's resources to support artists and change the world. Small peanuts.
Well, I mean, that was always one of the incredible things I would learn from you, as you and I talked about your work at Stanford over the years, is obviously the wealth of resources at the university, and how you came on in this administration that was very focused on really promoting the arts at Stanford and getting it on the map, but also recognizing that Stanford is in this unique position, both physically and, in kind of in academia, where you have the disciplinary these resources from, the tech world, basically, but also medicine. And, certainly there, MIT, which is, also another program, is doing similar things. But for you to have been able to grow that has been really exciting to see. And I've seen you get excited about new technologies and bring in artists to work with professors from completely different disciplines. And to me, it seems like that is now even more urgently needed than ever, because, artists may not have galleries to show in immediately. They may not have physical museums to show in, but the place like what you're doing at Stanford might have, another idea for how an artist can still do work and not have to make a physical incarnation of that work, where, people don't necessarily have to go see it, but it can still be shared with the world.
Yeah, and how artists can build communities in virtual spaces. I do think that that's one of the benefits of being out west. I feel like if we're going to make our mark anywhere in the art world, it is going to be in some of these new spaces, because there's such an entrepreneurial mindset where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's shift the conversation a little bit, because there is, there is the program that one of your art historians is working on, and you guys have also been you've also and I have talked a lot about Asian American artists, and I'd love to talk a little bit about. First of all, you used to work at the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco, and we've both followed and fostered some of these artists. And now within this world where, we're seeing a lot of xenophobia and racism towards Asian Americans, is that something that you are actively working on, that you feel like is programming that is going to be important for you and your students in the future?
That's a good question. It probably should be. It hasn't been something that I have dived into yet. I think it is something that the Asian American Initiative leaders are looking at. There is an Asian staff group that I'm part of, and they're sharing information and resources and with the community and students. But yeah, as far as programming, I haven't gotten there yet.
And that's okay. No, and I don't mean specifically addressing these issues. I just mean I think a lot of Asian American artists are looking for more community, more resources, more ways to showcase their work where everyone else is lifting each other up. And, it's obviously out on the West Coast, with a very large Asian American population, and, with, I think, a lot of artists right now who are still young adopting new technologies into their art. It could be something very, very interesting. But I do see, at least here, that there's one museum that is starting to do that in their educational programming, and specifically addressing Asian American racism,
really?
Racism. Yeah.
Which one?
So it's the Noguchi.
And, wow.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting, and obviously Isami Noguchi dealt with some racism in his time as well, and so I think there's just a lot of deep diving into the history of the artist and kind of taking that into the current context. But there's so many wrinkles being exposed, and we're kind of seeing the underpinnings of what the society has been, and I think we've seen that since Trump was inaugurated, pretty much. But
don't get me started.
It's been very difficult.
But I am excited. I guess I should give a little bit more background about the Asian American Art Initiative, which is also, we have a lot of things in the works, and there aren't a lot of details around them yet. But a professor in the Art and Art History department, Marcy Kwan, is leading this charge with the Cantor Art Museum, specifically curator Elisa Alexander. And they are developing an initiative to showcase Asian American artists in the museum, support their work, and they are hoping to make Stanford a research center for Asian American artists, and because it doesn't exist anywhere else in the country right now. And where better to do it than the Bay Area when there is a huge history. And Kearney Street Workshop, got it started.
Where you were in ED. Yes, absolutely.
And we have, Gordon Chang at Stanford has done a ton of work in this area and just did a huge research project and book on the Chinese American the railroad. And we have a number of great scholars. So trying to bring all of those resources to one place and have, launch it with a big symposia. In next spring may end up getting pushed to next fall, but sometime around that area. So super excited that I feel like in many ways my worlds are converging.
Yes, that's the best part. Well, how do you want to see the art world after COVID-19? What would be your dream?
I want it to be celebrated and recognized for the power that it brings to society. I want it to be supported. It's been, it's so hard to watch. All of the people working in like a gig economy have no support right now. I mean, they can't get unemployment. Artists just fall into the cracks of the support systems that we've set up. And I want that to change. And I want artists to not be the ones that everyone turns to make us masks and do all this work and yet not receive anything in return. I just want the value of art to be elevated and supported in our society.
Yeah. Do you think that there's one step or something that we can all do to make a change in that direction? I know that's a hard question, but is there something that you've seen that could be helpful?
I'm just excited about the idea of people working in other disciplines. If you invite artists into the conversation, bring artists into technology spaces, into scientific research, into, I feel like when I've placed artists in these spaces before, most people are like, what does the artist need from me? And it's like, no, that shouldn't be the question. It should be like, wow, how can this artist thinking affect and improve my work?
That's such a great way to put it. Just shifting the paradigm of the conversation. Right. And not looking at an artist or a creative person as free labor, I think that's
or just fluff. It's not just like beautifying the end product. It's actually should be part of the development and the thought process and the initial stages of everything.
No, I agree. And actually, I see James Clark just joined and Jeanette Andrews. I mean, these are two artists that I have worked with who use technology in their own ways, very differently, but their practices all merge science and with art. But they call themselves artists, James could be, I've always said about you, James, that you could be a programmer or a coder, that he could have done that. And he could still do that, but instead he's out there making light sculptures, making really transformative, technologically beautiful art that also speaks to the soul. And Jeanette's a magician, illusionist who works with scent and is, it's just incredible, right? The ways that artists are expanding our thinking.
Exactly.
And that's what we need, I think, right now, as we all feel so stuck. I mean, physically, but also mentally stuck. Like, how do we get out of this pandemic?
And what is the world going to look like? I mean, I think it's paralyzing to most people, but artists have always been the ones who have imagined things before they've come into reality. They can see, that they're not scared of not knowing what the future looks like, really.
Right.
Dive into new things and create new worlds. So
I agree. I think that's beautiful. By the way, you and James Clark should connect. He's also from Wisconsin.
No way.
The other Asian person from Wisconsin.
One other one.
He and his siblings, and you and your siblings. Yeah. So we have 5 minutes left. If anyone has questions for Ellen, please put it in the comments. But I'd also just love to hear how you are, taking the time to take care of yourself and your family, because it's really hard working at home all the time, taking care of our kids all the time, being in the house all the time. What do you do?
Yeah, it's a lot. But I am thankful every day that I live out here by the ocean. And there's some kind of out of the way beaches where I take walks almost every day, which keeps me sane. And
the beaches are open?
Yes and no. I mean, they closed down the parking lots. You can walk in there, but they're making it harder, which is good because then they don't get crowded. I see there's maybe 10 other people in this whole space where I go walking. And I have to say, I'm really just appreciating the time with my kids. They drive me crazy, but they're at these ages where their creativity is exploding and their minds are exploding. And I don't know when I'm ever going to have this kind of focused time with them.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to really appreciate it.
That's a very nice perspective. As I was like,
how are you guys doing?
Leave mommy alone for 30 minutes. Every day is different.
I do lock myself in the bathroom sometimes, but
Yeah, I think it's very, very hard to create any sense of balance. And I love snuggling with them. I love all of that, but I do think the biggest challenge for me is the homeschooling and, getting them motivated. Like my son right now just doesn't even want to look at his screen for school because he's over it. It's so boring. It's not stimulating for him. There are other things that he likes to do as part of school, but that's one thing where technology has been great to connect him and his classmates, but then it doesn't substitute for the real life experience that, as a first grader, that's really what he needs, which is emphasizing for me how important, right, that social development is for a 7-year-old. And,
totally.
So that's the biggest challenge is keeping us motivated mentally and not just feeling stuck.
Yeah.
But, we're in this for a couple more months for school because our school year ends at the end of June.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's just going to flow right into, now I'm thinking about summer camps and
Yeah. I know. And I was going to come visit you, dropping Sadie off at a summer camp. I don't know. Maybe we'll still do it. I'm going to assume we can't. But yeah, it's been really tough. But I think, having the ability to focus on my work when someone's not interrupting me, that's been really helpful. And talking to friends and people like you that, I always know you're out there and I always know people are doing these important bits of work. And right now it is kind of hard to share because we're not exhibiting our work, we're not creating events for our work. So that's, the Zoom studio visits, I'll probably start doing something like that next month, but it is still hard to feel inspired, I think.
Totally. And which is why I've been so impressed with you in this series. And I can't believe you're doing this every day. And you have the lineup is insane. The
lineup is great.
So
I'm
grateful.
People like you. And people have been so generous with their time. And honestly, only a couple people said no. And it's mostly because they just don't want to put their bodies out in the internet right now. A couple of my friends who are artists have just said, I'm not I'm not doing this right now with myself. I need to be like alone. And of course, I completely respect that. But I think for the most part, a lot of people have just been really keen to share and to, you know, give a little bit of what they do because it's so hard to get that out there right now. But yeah, and you know, I think for you being in higher ed and having your very unique outlook has been very helpful because you know I had someone on the first week who is finishing her MFA at Columbia, and you know, for someone like her, there were all just a ton of like logistical things. You know, can't get to my studio, can't get to my art supplies. She still has work there. Columbia is not sure what they're going to do either with you know, their thesis program, their thesis show, which is like what makes or breaks, you know, as the
that's
program.
huge.
Tuition refunds, you know, that was another thing. So it's like a huge issue for universities, and I know you're like mired in it. So there's a lot that you guys are dealing with.
And there's a lot. I mean, how do you start? The incoming freshmen, the outgoing seniors, it's so sad that they don't get graduation. And then the incoming freshmen, how do you start at college on a computer? So I don't know. It's
yeah. Well, you know, hopefully, you know, you and I will have another conversation in a little bit. Maybe things will have progressed or changed. But I kind of feel like these talks are like a time capsule for me, you know, because I am going to end them like in a couple weeks. It's not going to go on forever. I need to go on and get on with my life, but they are going to end. And, you know, it'll be interesting when I like go back and revisit it at some point and listen to these talks, right? Because we're going to like, I don't know, we're going to really have an interesting perspective, like 3 months out, 6 months out, a year out, and our lives might still be exactly the same at a certain point, and then very different.
So. But one thing that my 10-year-old reminded me of the other day, which I just thought was so amazing, is she said, you know, Mom, you know, in the Middle Ages, after the Black Plague came the Renaissance. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Yes.
That's so smart. I love her. I love her TV show too. She does need to just get out there and tell the world what's going on. It's true. Actually, I was reading, there's a New Yorker article that I was reading last night about the history of plagues and how that's affected the world and society and politics. You know, we've been in this before in a way. And like my friend Andy Whitfield, who was on yesterday from the Minnesota Opera, you know, he was talking about how opera during World War II basically went away. You know, just it didn't exist. No one went to go see it. And then after the war, it thrived. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, these things will come back. People, if you love it and you nurture it, it will come back. And that's why I try and tell artists, you know, it's not going to go away.
Yeah, and hopefully this is a time that they'll be thinking about new things, have time to produce new work. You know, we'll be entering a slow culture movement, like slow food, and then it's all going to explode. And hopefully we'll have systems to support it.
Yeah, go build it. Go Stanford.
I'm going to try.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ellen. I really appreciate you, and I miss you guys.
Thank you for inviting me.
Take care out there.
This is awesome.
Yeah. All right. And this will be out for 24 hours on the stories, and then it will be archived on YouTube. Bye, everybody. Have a safe, good day.
Bye.
See ya.